Well, that's 2 weeks in a row there's been confusion about the sermons on a Sunday morning. You may remember last week when Helen thought the passage from the Gospel for her sermon would follow on from mine on the sermon of the parable of the sower, only for me to step up and read a completely different passage from Luke. You might also remember in my last sermon, for the first time I went off script, something that had occurred. I had to tell you about something that had occurred to me when Joyce and I were travelling back from the Baptist Brush concert late on the Saturday night. I felt quite good about that at the time. Until last week, when Helen stepped up and told us what had happened, and then actually asked us if we wanted the sermon she had written, or did we want her to talk about the passage I've just read. I mean, wow, if you need an illustration of the difference between a scarf and a collar, that's it. This week I've written on my calendar preaching and All Souls, which I thought meant preaching at All Souls, until I spoke to Stephen on Wednesday and suggested I just do a short address. And he said, oh, I thought Helen was preaching on All Souls. I thought, well, that must mean I'm preaching on Sunday morning. It's been a bit like the news. It's been mixed, to say the least. It's been confusing. We're still feeling the effects of the horrible news of 39 Vietnamese found in a refrigerated container. Just give a thought for a minute. There's about 25 of us here. I think we've nearly double that number in the space between the aisles into that wall. About 4 feet square for each individual. It's a horrible, horrible thought. We had a train fire in Pakistan and the Punjab. More than 70 deaths. Then we got an agreement on Parliament on Brexit. Hooray! And then another delay. And then we're going to have an election. But there was some good news this week. Newcastle University students going around houses in Heaton and West Jesmond trick-or-treating. But not for sweets, but for food for the food bank. Which brings me to today's reading from Luke. It's called the Sermon on the Plain. And, oh dear, I'm going to get a bit theological now, and you know how uncomfortable I feel when Stephen and Helen are sitting there. It contains what we call, or what are called, Beatitudes. They're blessings given by Jesus. And their name is taken from the Latin, Beati sunt, which means blessed are. Beatitudes describe the blessedness of those who have certain qualities or experience peculiar to those belonging to the kingdom of heaven. And what always surprises me is how infrequently they actually occur in the Gospels. And yet I think we probably all know them. There were 4 in this morning's reading. Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. And blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you, revile you, and defame you on account of the Son of Man. I'm sure you recognise that these echo, or perhaps form the nucleus of the much better known passage in the Gospel of Matthew, the Sermon on the Mount, which we simply know as the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, etc., etc. Blessed are, or blessed is only used once more in Matthew, and it's at the time when John the Baptist is in prison. When John had heard about what the Messiah was doing, he sent words by his disciples and said to him, are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another? Jesus answered them, go and tell John that what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offence at me. The same beatitude appears in the same passages in Luke. There's only one beatitude in John, the Gospel of John. It occurs after Jesus is crucified and is resurrected, and appearing to his disciples in the locked room, and then returning when Thomas is present. When Jesus asks Thomas, Have you believed because you have seen me? And then goes on to say, blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe. So, okay, back to today's reading. A bit like my question to you a couple of weeks ago. Just what is Jesus telling us with his words in today's gospel? Without labouring the theological view, I believe that the first 4 Beatitudes are simply directed at Jesus' disciples. We're told in the preceding verses that Jesus has gone into the mountains to pray, and then he had chosen his 12. Come down from them to a level place, along with a great multitude of people from surrounding areas. But at the start of the passage, we are told that Jesus looked up to his disciples and then spoke. Now remember, his disciples had given up everything, homes, jobs, family, to follow Jesus. So his words to them are entirely appropriate for the position they now find themselves in. I then think when Jesus changes from his Beatitudes to the warnings, but woe to you who are rich, etc., etc., then his words are directed at the multitude and at us. A couple of years ago, Joyce and I were Christmas shopping in Newcastle, and I came out of the back entrance of John Lewis's store, onto the upper level, next to where there's the new extension of expensive shops. My attention was attracted by a very well-dressed lady who had shopping bags with the names of some of these stores on them. What had drawn my attention was the incredibly loud clack, clack, clack of her very high heels as she made her way through the shopping mall. She sounded and looked very important. And in her right hand, she had a mobile phone that she was furiously tapping away at. I just managed to get my hand up and say, look, before smack, she walked straight into a pillar. And it wasn't a little one, it was like this. Her phone went one way and her bags went the other. The point I'm trying to make is that most of us sitting here this morning have no idea what will happen today, tomorrow, or even in the next few minutes. We walk and talk as though the near future will be pretty much the same as the recent past. But I know it's true that some of us have worries. Some of us fret over every little thing. And some of us are thinking about those even as I'm standing here trying to give you this message. Many of us want to always look back when we're moving forward. The problem is that by doing that, it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to run smack into something along the way. And I think that's what Jesus was saying, that our future is pretty much already determined if you believe and listen to him. He's saying to stop the fretting, start thinking about the grace and mercy that we've been given is used by you to those around you. Jesus is saying that to be his disciple, it's important that you show an equal amount of love to those you'd rather not have anything to do with. Jesus is saying, love your enemies, because that's about the most difficult thing that any one of us here can do. It would require us to look into our own hearts with the same eyes as Jesus is looking through. And what we'll probably find is that our heart is not as open as we've come to believe in ourselves that it is. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. That's a huge ask. It requires that we put aside our desire to exact any sort of vengeance, whether it be from speaking ill of someone or even thinking ill of them. Jesus is saying, do unto others. And what he's saying through that is that forgiveness, we can see the grace of God. It's a lot easier to say the words than to actually live them. But Jesus does give us comfort, and whether we can always feel it or not, he's there with us when we need someone to lean on. Our future is not shaped by our past, but it does require the trust of the one Christ who has come to help us walk in his way, so that what we hold dear is not the memories of the past filled with what we might have done, but with a future filled with what we can do for others. Amen.